one of our engineers was like, oh, let's make a ChatGPT app. Like over the weekend or like in 2 days, they hacked something together. We launched it and it went crazy. Another thing that we did to kind of identify new opportunities is we would make something people search for. So Veed is really big on SEO. And what we would do is we would look at Google search traffic that was video related. And based on what people were searching and what was trending there, we would prioritize new features. It's a really great model that works, but it only works for existing demand, right? Like problems that people know they have. Right now, I think half of the videos that get exported from Veed are generated. So if I look at my entire ARR, I would say that like 85% is because of the AI features that we've built.
What? Wow. Samuel, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm especially happy to have you here because I recently decided to open the podcast to guests who are not French, and you're actually the first one I'm recording in English. So it's an honor to start with you, Samuel.
Cool. Well, my apologies to your audience. They have to listen to my English instead of French.
Don't apologize. I'm sure they will like it. Samuel, you're based in Amsterdam, if I'm right, and you're the chief product officer at a British company called Veed.io. To start off, could you tell us a bit more about Veed?
Yeah, for sure. So Veed is an online video platform. We basically help businesses to make better videos to grow their businesses on social media. So we started out as a video editing platform, but from there we kind of expanded into other things like video generation, recording, making large videos into smaller ones, all sorts of things.
There are a lot of incumbents in that space now, huh?
Yeah, it's always been a crowded space. If you look at the most downloaded apps on iPhone and you kind of take away social media, you see mostly camera video apps. So it's always been a very crowded space. And it's very interesting to me that some of the companies that we were very afraid of when we started out, they barely exist. And other companies that were not even founded yet, now suddenly are in our space. So that's fun and scary. Yeah.
Are you in the same, so I was about to say, are you in the same space as Descript, for example? So the same space for sure, video editing, but is it the same usage or like ICP in the end?
I don't know exactly who Descript's ICP is, but just looking at their website, they are a bit more targeted towards people that have a lot of video experience, towards slightly more kind of traditional long-form video editor or podcast editor. And we tend to focus a little bit more on people that don't have that experience yet, but do want to make great videos. So we're slightly different, but definitely in the same space.
Nice. Veed was founded in 2018, if I'm right. Before everyone was basically talking about AI. I mean, we were talking about AI, but not that much. And when you joined in 2021, you and the team started thinking about what AI could actually bring to your product. Could you explain what Veed's value prop was before AI?
Yeah, definitely. So we just made it, make your videos more engaging for social media or wherever you were going to post it. Meaning we helped you add subtitles to your video so people could watch it without audio, help you add music to your video, maybe some stickers, a progress bar, translate your video into other languages. Those were some of the things that we were doing at the time. And those, don't get me wrong, those are still some of the things that people really love about Veed. But since then, we've added a lot more to it.
Did you have significant traction at that time before AI became part of the product?
I would say before and after AI. I would say like before and after ChatGPT, because at the time we were using AI. For example, one of our most popular features was automatic subtitling, which transcribes the video using AI. So we were using AI, and I think that definitely helped with the traction there. But we had incredible traction. Yeah, I think one of the reasons I joined was because every time I would chat to the CEO, the company had doubled its revenue again. And I was like, I had total FOMO and had to join the rocket ship.
When did you realize that AI could add real value to Veed?
I think there's been multiple moments. So I always thought AI could add value, but At first, I thought it would augment the experience. It would just make it a little bit better. When I looked at our initial AI designs, I would be like, oh, AI just allows you to kind of like tell us how you want to edit your video and we'll do all the editing for you. But then as the world developed, I realized that AI could do much more, because one of the biggest problems that we have at Veed is that people need to have a video to edit. And once I realized that AI could actually take that away and could generate that video for you, that's when I realized that we were onto something way bigger than just editing, and that, post AI Veed could be 10 times bigger than pre-AI Veed.
How did the discussions like internally start? Like, I mean, I guess you were playing with all the technology that was like getting released. They got like many updates in 2021, and especially in 2022, by the way, because I think ChatGPT is actually released by the end of 2022, if I remember well.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So since you actually got a very strategic turn within the company, I would love to know exactly how the discussions are going. Probably with the CEO and the rest of the team, saying, I mean, we have to change the entire roadmap, or we have to actually just play with AI and maybe change a bit of multiple features. I mean, a couple of features we have in the product. How are these discussions going?
I can start maybe with kind of like the ignition point. I think for us is really ChatGPT. Everybody started to talk about AI. Our investors started talking about AI, and we were like, okay, we need to be more AI. But at the time, we didn't really know what that meant, and we were asking others, and nobody really knew it. So we made tons and tons of mistakes in the beginning, I would say. Like, we just didn't really know what an AI native product would look like or feel like. So if you want, I can talk a lot about the mistakes that we made, but I guess the discussion just started by saying, hey, let's add more AI. And then we were kind of brainstorming, okay, what does that mean? And where can we add AI? Does it mean we need to buy AI, build AI, integrate AI? All of these things were developing at the same time. And to be honest, it was a very confusing time.
Yeah. Was there like a specific trigger that, or maybe a day, when you realized that, yes, we have to go all in into integrating AI in the product? Or was it like a gradual change?
I think it was gradual change. Well, the market showed us. Actually, I think that's what happened. We had, over Christmas from 2022 to 2023, we had a video go viral in which people used Veed's text-to-speech to make videos. And we had hacked that in as kind of a joke or to kind of like play around with something. It was not a very serious project at the time, but it went completely viral. It had millions of views. And that's when people started asking for other AI stuff. And I realized, oh, fuck, like this is really real. Like there is clear market pool. So we were doing a few projects at the time, but that was a moment in which I was like, oh God, like this is going to get big.
So you would say the demand for it came from and was confirmed by your users, basically, and probably the entire market in space, in which there were a lot of like things going on, and and you had this FOMO a bit, like every company in any space, like many spaces, were wondering whether or not they should actually go all in. But so I was just saying, you confirm that this demand was confirmed by your users in the first place?
To a degree. I have to say there's something very interesting that happened, because normally the way we would work at Veed, we were like, oh, we just talk to our users. Like, I'm a big lover of research, speak to users all the time. I speak to users on a weekly basis. Everybody that joins the team needs to talk to users. It's really like a key part of our company culture. Now, users were not necessarily telling us, oh, I want to generate videos with AI. And another thing that we did to kind of identify new opportunities is we would make something people search for. So Veed is really big on SEO. And what we would do is we would look at Google search traffic that was video related. And based on what people were searching and what was trending there, we would prioritize new features. It's a really great model that works, but it only works for existing demand, right? Like problems that people know they have. And AI completely changed that. You have that quote by Henry Ford, like if I were to, what was it? Like if I were to ask people what they wanted, they wanted a faster horse instead of a car. And I think that is a very, often misused quote, but in this case, I think it's very accurate. When AI started and still to this moment, like we don't really have an idea of what it's going to be. And an example here is like, if you look at VO3, the Google AI video model, it basically means you don't need a camera. You don't need actors. You don't need audio. You don't need any of that. You can just use one video model. And people, I don't think they think that many steps ahead. So when AI kind of came about, I was a bit like conservative and I was like, oh, but I don't know if people actually are going to look for it. But the problem was that I was looking at the wrong things. And when it comes to these new kind of greenfield opportunities, you have to be more opinionated.
Yeah.
You have to develop your own vision on what the future looks like and then execute on that and hope users will kind of tag along as you get there.
Yeah. So the decision is made on like mostly on intuition more than on like data oriented decisions, right?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that we saw in search traffic is that all the AI search traffic would go, like normally search traffic moves like this, like 10 people look at it 1 week, 20 people the next week, it like kind of slowly grows. With AI, it was like this. So somebody would be like, how to generate a video, and then like some company would release a video generation thing, and it would go like a hockey stick.
Yeah.
So we realized that these companies were not playing into existing demand. No, they were actually generating their own demand. And that's what we decided we had to do as well.
Yeah. To bounce off on that, while preparing for this episode, you told me that you wanted to integrate AI into the product building process, but you were doing it the wrong way. How did you realize that exactly?
We saw other companies doing cool AI stuff. Like we saw people were doing AI avatars and we were like, oh, let's just add AI avatars to our editor and we'll be fine. Turns out that is not fine because our whole editing thing was built around editing and not really around generating from the ground up. And that means that, if you want to generate a video, you have to ask the user very different questions than if you want to help them edit. So just slapping things into the existing places in Veed, that didn't work well. And the funny thing was that sometimes we also took the wrong conclusions from it. We were like, oh, nobody wants avatars. I guess we should just not do it. But what we later on realized is that, hey, they want it, but we've got to completely transform the experience in order to make it great for generating videos.
And how did you determine the first maybe features that you had to release so that you can just experience the first users' feedbacks from this new AI feature or new enhanced features?
Well, we decided we wanted to make features in two categories. This was after we made a couple mistakes. At a certain point, we were like, there's two AI categories in which we can be successful. One was make an existing video look better, because when you do that, people realize that, oh, this is actually useful. So a great example is we would fix people's eye contact so that people are always looking into the camera. Often people read from a script and they can't look into the camera.
Yeah.
So we made a very simple feature that did that. That worked really, really well. And then we just started doing more things like that. And the other thing was on the generation side. We basically were like, okay, you start with some kind of text prompt and we make it into a video. Now that took a while to get off the ground. And I think still the videos to this date are not perfect, but we noticed when we built it that people loved it, even though we were not super happy yet with the quality.
Yeah. How long did it take to release the first feature? You talk about the eye contact feature. Was it like hard to actually create? And then I guess that, as you can see in ChatGPT with all the elucidations when you use it, you certainly have the same kind of problems and mistakes from the generated video. How do you actually control that and make sure that the feature brings enough value to actually make your user happy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the AI contact story is eye contact story is a funny one because first we hired this whole AI team that were like crazy researchers from companies like Meta and Google because we were like, oh, we need an AI team. And then we got them in, and to be honest, we had no clue. Like we were like, what should they actually work on? So this was one of the things that we were thinking of. And then they were like, oh, let's build our own model, train it on our own data and make it like really, really great. That took ages and never materialized. And we realized, oh, we maybe had not kind of built the right team. Meanwhile, everybody was innovating around us.
Yeah.
And what we saw that one of our partners, NVIDIA, they were working on an eye contact model.
Wow.
So basically just called them and asked, hey, can we use your model? And they were like, yeah, fine. Maybe you can be a launching partner because you're like a cool company, blah, 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 good win-win situation. And we worked with them to release it. And it was actually as a way to kind of gauge market interest. And it was a huge success because it was very clear what was the before and the after. You saw people not looking into the camera before, and then you saw them looking into the camera after, which was just really easy way to go viral on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. So that worked out really well. And then we did see, as you said, hallucinations, problems, things like that. And we got loads of complaints of people, for example, not having matching eye colors.
Did you? For colors?
Yeah, the eye colors, or for example, me, I wear glasses.
Yeah.
The eye contact feature worked so poorly with glasses that I would always demo it with contact lenses in as a kind of a hack. But that's obviously not great. But what we realized here, and that's very interesting, is people know with AI that it's not great, like that the results will not always be perfect. People are okay with that. It's probabilistic in nature. It's not deterministic, meaning that the same input will not always generate the same output. And yeah, people, they use ChatGPT. They know that ChatGPT doesn't always get them the right thing in the first try, and they're okay with it. So that was a big learning for me because we wanted to ship very high quality product, but actually with AI, you can be a little bit more soft as long as you allow the user to like retry it and make sure that they know it's AI. Yeah.
At that time, did you measure the quality level of all the features you released, AI features, I mean?
Yeah, we definitely do. So we often build like a data set of videos that we think should work and should look better after we work with the feature. And for example, yeah, we do this for everything actually, and it works out really well. So yeah, we did that, and over time it got better. But still to this day, like there are things in the AI eye contact thing that don't work really well. Now, where we're very lucky is that on some people, it works extremely well. So those are very happy customers. And then some people don't love it, and that's fine too. They might not, love the feature then. And then, hopefully at some point, we'll get it to a point where it's really, really great. But until that point, we still have some happy customers.
Are all the Veed.io features or Veed features, can I say Veed instead of Veed.io? Or how do you say
Veed,
it?
Veed.
Yeah, Veed, okay.
Yeah, we say Veed.
Are all these like Veed's features based on AI now in 2025, or do you still have some features that are like very important for your users, but that do not use AI?
Yeah, we still have very important features that don't use AI. I think an example is recording. It's really hard to record with AI, but most of our features do have some level of AI in it. And I think I did a check a while back. I think like 80% of people use an AI feature in their process from zero to export. So that could be automatic subtitling. It could be our AI background removal. It could be generating content, text to speech, dubbing. I mean, we have so many features, but they often use at least once.
Do you know precisely how many features, like AI-based features, you've released since you started to play with AI?
Hard to say. I know last year we released 30 new features, which was a lot.
Just over a year.
Yeah. And I think this year we did even more, but we also killed quite a few features because we noticed that we need to focus. So yeah, tons of stuff. Like we've developed quite a good muscle to try things out, get them to market quite quickly, and then if they work out, we will double down on them and build them out. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you I just explain us like into details what's the process for building AI features? Because you said in the very first minutes that the way we build products historically, like before the AI era, was to like most of the time lead like a research phase. So we'll talk to a lot of users. What we could also call exploratory, like a discovery phase. Sometimes it takes a while to do so. But while preparing for this episode, you said that you had to actually switch from this mode into like a new mode, which is more around playing with AI and just experimenting, and just let it go because you can't control everything. I mean, over all the features you've launched, how has this process evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's super interesting. So as you said, we started out with research-driven stuff, and we still do that for some things, and that works really, really well. But with most AI things, we just don't know what the users want, and they often don't know yet what technology we have to bring to them.
Yeah.
So what we do is we're just obsessed with new technology. We have these Slack channels in which people post new APIs, like crazy models that we find on Reddit, white papers all the time. And when somebody posts it, very often people are like, oh, we could do this with this, we could do that with it. Oh, that could be cool. Very interesting. Then a second thing we do is a lot of people at Veed make videos with AI. And in that process, they realize, oh, we could do it differently like this. And they don't use Veed's technology. They use APIs, or they use, I don't know if you know this program called Comfy UI, which allows you to run a lot of models locally to kind of play with what is the best thing that is possible today, which often inspires us as well. And then the last thing we do, which has been really fun, is hackathons. Like we would do research, like I would come up with a lot of the roadmap back in the day, and still to some degree I do. But now what I've noticed is that, the technology is often there first before there's user demand. So we should just kind of invite everyone to play with that technology and see what comes out of it. So we do loads of hackathons, bigger ones with the entire company, as well as smaller ones within teams. And those often generate tons of new ideas. And like, let me tell you, like all of our, well, not all, but like I would say 3 out of 4 successful things that we launched in the past 12 months, it's kind of come out of a hackathon or one of those kind of like video explorations. Yeah.
Do you still do those?
Yeah, all the time. Like I think it's really key for us.
Wow.
We do a big yearly one, and then we do small ones within teams like every 3 months.
That's awesome. What was the first AI like project, initiative, or feature born from a hackathon that really took off, for example?
The first one that really made me a convert into like liking hackathons and that kind of way of innovating was ChatGPT launched this ChatGPT app store. And one of our engineers was like, oh, let's make a ChatGPT app. So I think him and another engineer, like over the weekend or like in 2 days, they hacked something together. We launched it and it went crazy. Basically, this app allowed you to kind of go from ChatGPT and say, make a video out of this. And then we would like generate a video out of it. And people absolutely loved it. And it also brought us so many subscribers. I think at its peak, like 1 in 8 subscribers would come from that channel. And that's just because, the ChatGPT store was only for paying users of ChatGPT at the time. So these are our perfect users. These are people that are very curious about AI. They're willing to pay for it. And that just being at the first page of that, because we were always trending, was amazing. It was like one of the most valuable pieces of real estate of the internet at the time. And still to this day, it does great for us. But that made me realize, oh, fuck, like in 2 days, we can build something that is bringing us like 15, 20% more revenue. That is incredible.
It's crazy. Do you always do these hackathons over 2 days?
I think that's kind of the size that we have found
Yeah.
that works for us. Yeah, obviously, yeah, it depends a little bit. If we find a new technology, sometimes we kind of go brainstorm with it a little bit in a couple of hours. But
Yeah.
I think 2 days, you can actually make something that works.
Can you describe precisely how you run this hackathon at Veed? I mean, is there like I don't know, a specific framework, so length? You told me length, a couple of days, and what is the what are the members of the team that are involved in this initiative?
Yeah, definitely. So 2 days has been the best time for us.
Yeah.
And then we do big ones with the entire company and small ones with teams. So let's start with the big ones. We do everyone in the company. Everyone can join as long as they have an idea or a theme to before the hackathon. Because if you got to come up with something while you're working on it, that is really hard. So everybody can join. And what we've noticed is that there's actually a lot of magic happens when salespeople work together with engineers, or for example, our brand designers work together with engineers. We see that they make way cooler stuff. So when we create kind of weird cross-pollination than when we just work in the traditional product teams. So that's very interesting. The second thing is that whatever people make, it has to work. It shouldn't be just a design. It has to be clickable and usable. It doesn't have to be production ready, but it needs to be a clear proof of concept. Because before we would see that people would just make weird things that were very aspirational, but they didn't really teach us something. Then another thing that happened was that people came to me, in my role as CPO, and they were like, Sam, we're building all of this stuff at the hackathons, yet you don't prioritize it after we finish it. So that made me realize, I need to prioritize these things and bring them into the roadmap. As a result of that, we set themes for the roadmap for the hackathon. So basically, I will make sure that they align strategically with what we do, but still create enough room for play.
Yeah.
So for example, a theme we did at last year's hackathon was, with one click of a button, you need to transform a video into a better video. And that worked out super, super well. And that also means that I kind of feel obliged that when stuff is good, it will make it into the roadmap. So I keep time scheduled so that some of those projects can be brought into it. And yeah, I think maybe the last thing we do is we always have prizes and a bit of a competition. And that is just because we noticed that a bit of competition goes a very long way. People love it. So it's a very celebratory time whenever we do it. And yeah, it's amazing.
Is it carried out physically, or is it like you're all remote at Veed?
Veed is kind of a hybrid company. We started out being fully remote during COVID, and now we have a couple of hubs, one in Amsterdam, London, and Barcelona. So with these hackathons, we try to get as many people in person as we can, but people can obviously join remotely as well.
Nice. And you say that the whole company is invited, is welcome to actually assist to these hackathons. How big is Veed now, like the entire team?
We're about 200 people right now, so pretty chunky. And then one thing we do for the people that do not know how to code is we give them a workshop in vibe coding tools before the hackathon. So they get taught Lovable, Cursor, those types of things. And last year we had even at the sales offsite. So sales had their own offsite, and they also did a hackathon purely with salespeople. And the stuff that came out of there was really amazing. So it's super cool to see that innovation is not only coming from engineering people or product people or designers.
That's super interesting. What was the main topic of these hackathons, like the sales oriented hackathon?
Yeah, I actually don't know if they had a specific theme, but what I noticed was that most of the things they built were ways to kind of make their own process easier. So to kind of do better lead scoring, to do better onboarding for new customers, those types of things. So they were solving their problems. And those are often problems that people in my part of the organization are less aware of.
Okay. So you said you're at Veed, you have a team of 200 people. Was there a time when one of the hackathons you led gathered all, like the whole company, or is it like a split of, like a couple of members from all the teams together. That means, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 people, which is actually huge for a hackathon. It's a whole organization. But yeah, just to understand exactly and just try to imagine what it looks like.
At our yearly hackathon, which we always do the week before Christmas, last time, I think the majority of the company joined. I don't know exactly how many people that was.
Oh, wow.
But like everybody was cooking. It was crazy. It was, and also when you, like I go in the office and I see everybody working, and you see like people that normally don't sit next to each other and discussing stuff. It's such an energy boost, and people get very inspired. Yeah.
And do you take a position of kind of a leader for this hackathon? Are you like the guy organizing the whole stuff, and then just like, I don't know, like just putting a frame on these hackathons and trying to kind of entertain all the teams and just give them guidelines, instructions and stuff? Or how does it work?
Yes. So before the hackathon, we often have like a little organization team, which I'm often part of. But then during the hackathon, we have a panel of judges. So our CTO is a judge, I am a judge, our CMO. And then I think our founder, Saba, is always CEO. He's always involved as well. So we tend to kind of like be the judges. And during the hackathon, if it gets really competitive, people often try to bribe us. But most of the time, people have questions, or, we give feedback during the process. And yeah, I think for me, it's always a really inspiring time, because often I see new and innovative ideas that I hadn't encountered before. So it's quite humbling and exciting. Yeah.
That's nice. And at the end of each hackathon, I guess there is kind of a judgment or like a scoring to say, should we actually invest into this idea and just like make it become real? How does it work? Is it something that you have processed, or it is still something that is, you never know exactly what will be going out from a hackathon?
Yeah, no, we definitely we don't have a thing where it's like, oh, if you win first prize, 100% chance that your product is going to be put into the main product. But yeah, we have put a lot, like some of these things are kind of like micro tools or things that we can just ship. Sometimes they get even shipped during the hackathons, which I absolutely love. But most of the times what we see is that, after the hackathon, I come together with a few people and we kind of go through it and be like, oh, could this work? Which team would pick this up, and things like that. So I think last year, out of the hackathons, about 50%, maybe slightly less, 40% of the ideas actually made it into the product in some way, shape, or form. But I think that's a really great score. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
And I guess the way you lead these hackathons has evolved over the years with all these new tools. Like you talked about vibe coding just before. I guess now in like when you started to explain me how these hackathons are articulated, you told me that you need to actually release a kind of a proof of concept. But now with all these tools like Lovable, Cursor, and so on, you can actually just make a product become like almost something that works. Or it is still too early because you guys work on AI features that can be complex sometimes, and 2 days is not enough to actually release them?
I think a lot of has evolved. I think in general, if you work at our scale with the type of content that we produce, like video in the browser, it's hard to get something live in 2 days. But you can get to a proof of concept very quickly. And I think there's been a lot of tools that have enabled us to do so. Like, Lovable and Cursor are great for vibe coding. But for example, if you want to try out and build AI workflows in which you generate stuff, you can first kind of try that out with maybe a Replicate or stuff like that. But then both Replicate and Fal have tools in which you can build AI workflows. So you can go from text prompts to text to image to video, add music to it, all in some kind of like flowchart. And we then have built technology in which you can speak straight to Fal from Veed. So that makes it very easy for example, a PM to kind of build something exciting, and then we can kind of weave that into the product later on. So we are trying to think a lot about how can we make Veed's code base and infrastructure in a way so that we can add more models, more AI stuff really, really quickly.
Nice. How often do you lead these hackathons? Every month, for example? Or?
No, I wish. We do one big hackathon every year, and
Wow,
then
okay.
often every department does a hackathon also every year, and then teams do hackathons. The teams do them quite regularly. I would say every 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And then these other ones are both yearly. I think we might do twice a year, but often so much comes out, and then also so much during the entire year we find out new things and we do quick sprints around them as well. So it's not like hackathon is the only place that we find new ideas in, but yeah, we do them semi regularly, I would say. Yeah.
And how do you articulate your, I would say, day-to-day rituals? So I don't know exactly how your product team is organized. You know, a lot of teams are following rituals like, or framework like Shape Up and stuff like that. I guess you've heard of it.
Yeah.
How these hackathons are connected to your day-to-day rituals? Because I guess you can actually kind of accelerate the amount of work you can release from these hackathons, but also you have to keep energy for your like day-to-day product management stuff. So how is it articulated?
Yeah, great question. I think so. I've tried every method out there, and I have to say that a lot of the methods have missed one essential thing, in my opinion. So I believe the reason why a hackathon works so well, why people work so hard and get so much work done in 2 days, is because they really believe in the idea that they're working on. They came up with it. They're very excited about it. And I think that trumps any process. Like, I think it's so important. And I feel like a lot of the kind of bookish processes, Scrum, Shape Up, whatever out there, they don't really talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think what I always say is like, in order for us to pick up new ideas, they need to go internally viral at Veed. So that could be a hackathon project is a great example of that. Like when somebody makes a demo out of something there, everybody that goes bananas and like, wow, that's amazing. Let's get it done. And I think, then you can kind of ride the wave on that energy and build it quickly. So that's something that we do with those hackathons, but it's also something we try to do in our normal product practice as well. So one of the things that I always ask teams is when you prioritize a feature, try to really sell it. Like I want to understand what it is going to do for our users. And one format that we found works really well for us is they make a video, what a video would look like before using the feature and after using the feature.
Oh, wow.
And that often shows, okay, there's a clear delta, there's a clear improvement, and that makes us prioritize those features. So we're trying to use that kind of excitement meter in our entire process. And it's a bit weird because it's a bit less about exactly, how much revenue are we going to make for it? And we do those types of checks and balances as well. But I think it's very much in line with how product grows today. Because if you look at how all these AI things grow, people share and tweet them, and there's a lot of word of mouth around it. So if it goes internally viral, to me, that also kind of proves the point that it might go viral externally as well.
Yeah. I've seen on your LinkedIn profile, Samuel, that you publish a lot, probably something like every day, if I'm not wrong, or maybe a bit less, but anyway, and that's not very usual for a CPO. Normally CPOs are very busy. I'm not saying you're not, but so I guess, I mean, from your point of view, I mean, you work at a company that does like video editing and basically video generation now, and so it is important to show what you guys are working on. But is this what you do on your LinkedIn part of what you just told me, which means that trying to get feedbacks, trying to sell things, even though maybe some features won't last? I mean, is it your strategy on LinkedIn, or it is just like a marketing approach, which means that you want to develop an audience because maybe you want it to be easier to hire, for example?
I think for me, LinkedIn is really about first of all, kind of engaging with our customers and understanding what they want and how they like what we're building.
Yeah.
Also, it's really for me, like, I want to be Veed's perfect user. I want to understand, what are all of the pain points in video creation.
Yeah.
So I want to really empathize with our user. And I think the best way to do that is to kind of become our user, which is why, if you look at my LinkedIn from 3 years ago, I was not creating any videos at all. And then I tried creating videos and they sucked. I sucked in front of the camera. It was terrible. Everything about it was terrible. And I had to go and learn all of those things. And that made me kind of understand what a lot of the hurdles are that our users are trying to overcome. So that's really why I do that. And then, I'm very excited often about the stuff that we're creating. And I love shouting and boasting about it on LinkedIn and then hearing what other people think about it. And I think just in general, I think one of the reasons that people tend to use Veed is because it puts a face on their business in an anonymous world online. All companies are logos, but we actually love to do business with people. And I think for me to kind of come forward works really well. And then, it does cost a lot of time, but that's also a motivator for me to kind of make video of Veed's products better so that I can make videos faster.
That's so nice. It's all in one, huh? The reasons for
it works really well. Yeah. I think I also kind of find it funny sometimes that I'm creating really weird AI videos and I'm like, oh, damn, that's my job too. Yeah, pretty fun.
So I feel like when you describe this, and again, the way you guys build products internally, and especially AI features, you have changed the way you approach it. Am I wrong? I don't know. Maybe since you joined Veed in 2021, I feel like when I hear you that you actually come from a kind of R&D mindset, even though it's a big word, to a kind of constant experimentation mindset. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think. I mean, for me, it's like a range, and we still do a lot of that R&D work for certain things where it's more processed, more kind of, there's a lot of checks and balances.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to innovate, you really need to play, experiment, see how the market responds. I always ask people when we do a quarterly roadmap, I ask them, which ones do you think are going to be successful? And I ask myself as well. I'm always wrong, and they're always wrong. I think I've learned throughout the years, I've learned often enough that it's really hard to predict success. So if you want to be successful, you got to try different things and see what sticks.
Have you changed the product design tech organization to enable that new mindset in some ways?
I think we still have similar teams. I think one thing I did change was having bigger teams so they can do more stuff.
Yeah.
Because you often want to run a few things at the same time. We often ask people like, hey, what can you do in a few weeks instead of how can we get the perfect thing? And that has really helped us. We also sit with the team every week. So I and a few others sit with every team every week, and we just look at work in progress. They're not allowed to do presentation or anything. They just show what work in progress they have. And that way we can help them, but also kind of easily adjust the sales. So let's say there's a new model that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like I think yesterday, Nano Banana, this new Google image model got released. And I'm like, I want to have that in tomorrow. And that means probably we need to move around some things. But I sit with so many teams so often that we can move those things around quite quickly and we're very in sync. So that really helped.
Yeah.
And then I think the last thing we do is designers now code and make prototypes with Lovable and stuff like that. So I think AI has definitely changed kind of the barrier to actually create. Yeah.
Do you guys do the your team members use these tools on a daily basis, or is it still very new and people are playing again and there is no concrete use case that you could show here?
No, I think they're using these products all the time. Like it's kind of crazy. Like for example, researchers, they do research on like a new feature or an existing flow, and they realize, oh, this copy is wrong, this button is wrong, and they can now make a pull request, which is kind of a request for change
Yeah.
themselves, like in the code. It's crazy. Designers, we have a timeline in Veed, and a designer had this idea to change kind of the physics of the timeline.
Exactly.
He tries it. He makes a prototype in the real Veed, so everybody can try it.
Wow.
And then we're like, oh yeah, this actually works better. Let's just merge it in and ship it to production. And yeah, I find it crazy. Like I wouldn't have believed that. Like I would have thought that what I'm saying right now is kind of some kind of like salesy pitch, but it's actually true. Like we see so many people contributing, and it's been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen some reactions from someone in the team, or maybe like a couple of people in the team that were like kind of being negative about this new usage of Lovable, for example? That can be scary for some people, you know. I've seen that in many companies in France, for example. Have you seen that, and how did you manage it, if yes?
Yeah, we did see that. And I mean, we've also seen that when we started making generative videos. Like people were like, oh, doesn't that put some of our other users out of a job? And my point is that maybe that will happen, but you know, technology always kind of makes things easier, lowers the barrier for stuff, and creates new opportunities. So I don't think we want to have less engineers. By all means, I'd love to have many more engineers. But yeah, definitely we saw some negativity around these tools from many different angles. But for example, from engineers saying, the code is not high enough quality and stuff like that. Often what we see when we start actually engaging and talking with these people is that they haven't, tried it enough, or they kind of judge it on where the technology is today and not where it's going. And what we often notice is that when we put somebody that has that opinion next to somebody that's like an evangelist, and they start working together, often it turns around. And we also don't want to like take away some of the really important, complicated work that we can never or not yet do with LLMs. But what we see right now is that these coding tools are helping us doing the kind of shitty engineering tasks. So they're actually speeding up their work. Like copy changes is not something that engineers love to do. The other day we had a bug that was reported by a customer, and from Slack we can now talk to Cursor, and I just asked Cursor if it could fix it for us, and it fixed it. And now, that's amazing. Like we don't need an engineer there. So that those are places where engineers actually kind of like that. But we need to paint that picture for them, and also make sure that they know that we love them, we respect them, and that we don't want to fire anyone as a result of these tools.
Yeah. So you told me that the product development processes have changed a bit thanks to all these technologies. But the overall organization, people-wise, hasn't changed for now. I mean, it has been the case in many companies, especially in customer support, for example. Like there is a famous company called Klarna in Europe that has said a couple of months ago, probably last year or the year before, I can't remember exactly, that they have almost entirely replaced their customer support by AI. I can't remember exactly the amount of people that were concerned by that. But is there a difference within your product and tech team or within another team at Veed that has, a difference of organizational people because of the arrival of AI?
I think for us that hasn't been the case. I think AI has made us much more powerful. Obviously, well, we've hired AI researchers. I guess those weren't there before AI. But I think in general, it hasn't really changed the team. We've just made people much more powerful. So I now a lot of people are like shipping at Veed right now. Like researchers are shipping, designers are shipping. I would love to enable our support team to ship. I don't think Klarna's customer support agents that they use can do that. So the way I look at it is like, okay, maybe a part of your job changes, but that means you have other times and you can maybe do other things instead. So that's how it's worked for us so far. But the caveat is that we are a relatively small organization,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So many people wear many hats, and I think that means that it's just a little bit different than with a large company like Klarna.
Yeah.
But I hope we don't have to get into that type of situation.
Yeah, I'm super interested, by the way, in all the changes that AI can have on like people in orgs. I think this is all very new, so probably a bit early, but that's why I'm asking. And that's super interesting, by the way, what you said about not the new responsibilities, but the new kind of missions or tasks, a capacity that all the members are able to do. I mean, see a marketing team play with Lovable to actually build themselves all these like ads and landing pages is great. I mean, that's nice. And do you think, it's kind of a personal question, but if you can't answer, I mean, don't answer. Do you think there will be when it comes to product and tech teams, there will be a change in the responsibilities and tasks that all these people do? For example, do you think that the role of product manager or product designer will change within a couple of years, like the coming years?
Yeah, I definitely think it will change. I don't think it will cease to exist, but I think as a lot of things come closer together, I think PMs, what I'm already seeing, for example, is that some of our PMs are doing prompt engineering. So for example, for one of our features, which is called automatic B-roll, so it automatically adds shots to your videos. A PM was actually doing the prompts there. So an engineer had set up the flow, and then a PM could change the prompts to see if better images came out. I think that we're going to see way more of that.
Okay.
Another example there is now we have a lot of data analysts. I'm sure they will keep working at Veed, but I think PMs will also be able to maybe do more of the data analysis work themselves before they engage with them. So I think, like I said, people are becoming more powerful, and maybe the roles are going to become a bit more blurred, and there's going to be a bit more overlap.
Yeah.
And that is super exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that. And I think maybe in the end, that will result in slightly more responsibilities for smaller teams, which means you can just do more as a company or go deeper into specific topics. And I'm quite interested in what that means.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree. I feel like I would say it's a bet on my side. I feel like the kind of difference between a PM and a product designer will be like super light within a couple of years. There is still this, like in many companies, there is still this question of, what do I hire? Do I hire like a PM or a first product designer, a founding designer or a founding PM? And I think that there will no longer be the question like in a couple of years. I feel like it's going to be like off. Just
I think that could be way more blended than it is right now. I think in larger organizations, I still see a little bit more need for that distinction, but definitely at the early stage, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
And what we also see right now with Veed is with design systems, design sometimes is less about, how does it look, but more about, it's almost like visual planning. And I think a lot of the tooling we have today makes that easier. So it could mean designers can have way more scope than they have today. Yeah.
You said AI is now your biggest growth driver at Veed. Can you give us some examples of like AI features that really drove growth? You told me about like a couple of features in the when we started, but I don't know if these are like the biggest features. And if you can share that, what does that concretely look like in your numbers and growth story?
I mean, I spoke about the video GPT feature, which allowed you to generate videos from ChatGPT. When we launched that, it was so successful, and still to this day. So I think at the time it was like accountable for like 15% of new revenue, which was really crazy.
Wow.
Then from there on, we were like, okay, generative is really interesting. So we built a product called Gen AI Studio, which is like one of our biggest drivers of growth right now. So like, I think if we rank like what people come into Veed for, that's the number one thing right now. That is so different from well, we didn't have this product like 6 months ago, by the way. Like it's been really, really crazy. So that's a big changer and big driver of growth. Another good example is our AI playground. This allows you to interface with all video models. So VO3, Kling, soon we'll have our own models. And you can kind of generate clips with it and then make them into larger projects if you want. And we built this at a hackathon earlier this year. And this allowed us to actually, people, whenever a new model comes out, everybody in the internet is like, hey, where can I actually use this VO3 thing? Or where can I use Kling?
Yeah.
So this is one of those places where people can do that. And people, it's in a familiar interface. Veed is quite user-friendly. We are not a very technical thing where you need to type in the amount of frames you want to generate. With us, you can just say how many seconds. And we made it just a bit more user-friendly. And this has been also like one of our biggest growth drivers. And what we see there as well is that whenever a new product, new model launches, we can ride that wave, which is obviously incredible.
Nice.
So these are all things in the generative space. And I think right now, I think half of the videos that get exported from Veed are generated. So that says something about the size of the revenue. I don't know the exact revenue that comes from these things combined.
Yeah.
But Veed 5% is because of the AI features that we've built.
What? Wow. Okay. And if I'm not wrong, it's a bootstrap company, right?
We were bootstrapped.
You were bootstrapped, but there is an announcement.
No. This has already been a few years back. I think it was 2022 or 21.
Okay.
When we raised with Sequoia. Since then, we haven't raised. We like to be, in control of our own destiny. We bootstrapped to, I think it was 8 million before that, and then we raised to grow a little bit faster. Yeah.
Congrats. It's like amazing work. You said on the podcast, by the way, that you invite your users on your whole ends. Is that still the case? And I mean, that's not a way of leading product discovery that I come across very often. So just could you tell me why and how it works?
Yeah, so in my product practice, I really believe that, people got to get excited about whatever they're creating. I think I mentioned that before. And one of the ways you get excited is by seeing the people that use your stuff. Like that gives so much energy. So I would do all of these user interviews, and then I would make little clips out of them and share them on Veed Slack. And people would always be excited about it. And then we were like, why don't we actually bring people like that on the all hands and interview them with the entire company?
Such a great idea.
And it works really well. It's just like a really powerful way to make those people come alive. And you see that, again, one of the things I find very interesting is when people that are not in product or design are very inspired. And that's what we see here as well. People from all sorts of teams, like from HR, they're like, wow, what if we would build this for them? Or like maybe that's a solution to the problem they just mentioned. So that's really great. And I think, making a lot of money is great. Seeing a lot of usage is great. But seeing people that actually tell you, hey, this is great, or this sucks, that does way more to kind of our human minds. Yeah.
If we go back quickly to AI, if you had to advise a CPO, maybe that's the case you've done in the past, CPO, a startup of a scale up on their AI product strategy, what should they do first, in your opinion?
Well, they're happy to call me and I can help them out.
Nice.
But a framework that I use is first try to consume as much news about AI as possible. I think a lot of us are doing this, but just kind of do that, and then try to ask yourself, what could we do with this technology? I think that's a great way to get started. Then the second thing you need to answer is, how am I gonna do AI in my company? And there's many different ways to do it. There's like, you can build your own foundational models like OpenAI. You need hundreds of millions, but you can definitely do that. You can work based on open source models.
Yeah.
You can work based on APIs or integrate existing things. There's tons of stuff out there as well. You can fine tune models. You can do a hybrid approach. But I think figuring out what you can do, because often this is just a financial decision.
Yeah.
For most people, they can only do one or two things. What you can do with your budget gives you a big insight. Okay, these are the opportunities, or this is what is possible. And then I think you need to kind of look at your users and go back to like, what is their ultimate job to be done in our company? Because what we noticed at Veed is we were thinking about it first as like, oh, people come to Veed to edit videos, so AI is going to help them edit videos faster. By focusing on that, we were actually not helping them really well. After a certain point, we realized people come to Veed ultimately because they want to grow their businesses online.
Yeah.
And they use video to do that. And that made us realize, oh, but we can do so much AI stuff that helps them make more videos, because making more videos often helps you grow. And therefore, people will probably be very happy if we can make much more content out of them. So that's when we realized, okay, we need to do generative videos. We need to help people translate their videos and dub them in other languages. We need to help them go from a long podcast like this one into a few fancy clips.
Yeah.
All of those things. So by zooming out, you realize all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute. There is many more AI opportunities.
And maybe some advice, a couple of advice on how to use it, like in the product development process. Do you have like some piece of advice to share?
Yeah. I mean, definitely start using all of the vibe coding tools. I say to the teams, like, I want to see prototypes now. Like, I think the time of Figma designs is over. I want to see working prototypes. That works really well. Be a forcing function there. Really enforce use of AI. We do, these hackathons, I think, are a great way to do things. Definitely do those. I think that if there's one thing out of all of this, you should do it. Another thing that we've been doing a lot to kind of increase the adoption is doing these AI jam sessions. So we get all the PMs or all the designers, give them Cursor, and then have one person that's really good with Cursor and explain how to use Cursor, and let's just play together. I'm actually missing it right now because it's Friday afternoon. We always do this on Friday afternoons.
Sorry.
No worries. This is fun too. But then we do these jam sessions, and that works really well as well. And then the last thing I would say, don't be afraid to enforce things, and don't be afraid to pay, because all of these tools are quite expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
But you got to do it. Don't be like, if you're cheap here, you're going to pay, like, the price you're going to pay for missing this wave is so much higher. So I think this is one of the reasons why Lovable and all those tools have seen such incredible growth, because people are realizing, I need to adopt this no matter the price. Yeah.
And in your view, what are the biggest traps to avoid when integrating AI into your product?
Yeah, I would say for 99% of the companies, building your own models or hosting your own models on the infrastructure is going to take so much time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to realize, hey, the market has already moved on. And I've just invested loads of money. So that's one area where I see a lot of people fail, and we failed ourselves. And another one where I see a lot of people fail, and still to this day at Veed, I see a lot of us making this mistake, is we underestimate the rate of progress. So what I've seen so far with AI, especially in the video space, 2 years ago, the videos you could make looked super ugly and like were super expensive.
Yeah.
Over the past few years, it's become so much cheaper, so much faster, so much better quality, that you need to design your product right now with the mindset that all of those cost, price, loading time constraints are gone, because they will like go down like crazy. So that's another mistake that I've seen Well, I think we make all the time still. Yeah, I wouldn't have predicted how good VO3 was. And now we're working on our own model at Veed, Fabric One it's called. And the other day we found an optimization that made it like 10 times cheaper overnight. Like stuff like this is crazy to me.
So you think this is the biggest mistake to avoid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Feel like we've had a good deep dive into AI at Vid, don't you think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think, don't know if I have much more to say.
Yeah, is there anything we haven't covered around this topic that you'd like to talk about? Or
there's one thing I find very interesting.
Yeah? Tell me.
It's an idea I'm developing. It's not necessarily something that I've completely validated yet, but I think maybe your listeners will find this interesting, which is I feel with AI, the rate of development is so fast that it's more like making hit music than it is like building traditional product. So product development used to be you build something, you get a couple of users, they tell you, oh, this sucks, you improve it, you get more users, great. Now, people are looking for new things all the time because the market is moving so fast. So with AI, I see that a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do like face filters now. Which model can do this for me? And they will move to that. And there's a lot of memes and things that go viral. And then everybody wants to do that for a weekend and then it's gone. So being the first at stuff has a big advantage. There's a big first mover advantage. And the second thing I'm seeing is that a lot of things that are like funny and toys and memes become tools. So a lot of funny things that we see on the internet, it's pulling a lot of people to that product or to that thing. And then from there on, they're like, hey, maybe I could actually use this for my business as well. So, with all the video models, what I see is that everybody, the first thing they try is like, put a dog on a surfboard. And they're like, haha, that's funny. And then 3 hours later, they're like, wait, I need to make this ad for my skincare brand. Maybe I can use the same thing. So I feel like the kind of way to acquire users and the way to build products is really shifting towards going faster and making more memes and toys. And those things together will still help you grow like business usage as well.
Samuel, thanks a lot for diving into Veed's AI challenges with me today. It's been really insightful. To wrap up, I always like to ask my guests to share a fun or surprising story or anecdote. Do you have one for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe my favorite thing that I've done outside of Veed is during COVID. Everybody was on lockdown and I was very bored and I needed a project and I wanted to get back into programming and we didn't have vibe coding back then.
Yeah.
So my mom is a psychotherapist and she did some kind of trauma therapy and she was saying that it was really hard to do that remotely. So I hacked that together in a few nights, a tool to make that work. It's called Cloud EMDR. Yeah. And that went completely viral, literally, I guess, during COVID. And now it's like so many therapists are using it around the world. Still to this day. Wow. Yeah, like I haven't done much work on it lately, but it's become like the standard for that therapy if you want to do it remotely. And I think more and more people are doing remote therapy. So it's kind of booming. And yeah, I've started many failed startups.
It's crazy.
And this one thing that I just did while talking, trying to help out my mom, to be honest, has become a pretty big success. So yeah, it's something I find very funny and it was really fun to do.
And you didn't want to get involved, like fully involved in it?
I've thought about it many times. I mean, it makes good revenue, which is obviously very nice, but I think I need to get very, very excited about a problem. And right now, like making video stuff with the AI wave is too exciting, man. Like maybe if this wave dies down, I get back to that project and build that out.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think this is such a cool space to be in right now that I'm just a bit hooked and I can't leave. Yeah.
Thank you again, Samuel. You've been an amazing guest. And to everyone listening, thanks for being with us today. See you in the next episode.
Cheers. Thank you.